And we'd like to always start by thanking Harbor Media, formerly known as HCAM, for filming us this evening, and we already saw ourselves this morning on television. Thank you. We would normally start with reading of our minutes from the last meeting, but because that was just last night, we'll do last night's and tonight's at our next meeting. So we won't cover that tonight. We broke in half our list of applicants that have made it this far. We heard from 4 of them last night. We will hear from 4 more of them this evening, plus our own CPC Administrative Fund, so 5 presentations tonight. And we're going to start with the Hull Street Field play area, which is being proposed by Recreation Department. Mark, will you introduce yourself?
Do you need a board?
Oh, sure.
Or a stand, I should say.
Thank you.
Mark, can you go like that?
Oh, sure. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Mark Burrell, Recreation Director. The Hull Street Field has a long history of being an important part of the community that surrounds Hull and Canterbury streets. Years ago, the Hull Street Field was the location of one of Hingham Recreation's summer camps. It had a playground, baseball field, a basketball court, and was truly considered a staple of the community that surrounds it. Over a decade ago, the town conducted a safety audit on a number of neighborhood playgrounds. Unfortunately, based on the results of the formal safety audit, the town had to remove all the playground equipment at Hull Street. Since this time, the condition of the Hull Street Field has continued to decline. The Hull Street Field is barren with no recreational amenities. There is no longer a playground, park benches, and the basketball area is in disrepair. The once vibrant field has become an eyesore with no recreational benefit to the neighborhood. Playgrounds serve as a destination where families and friends can gather together to appreciate and celebrate their community, especially in a safe and friendly environment close to their homes and neighbors. Unfortunately for these neighborhoods in this part of the town, the closest public playground available to them would be the Cronin Field location, which is well out of walking distance for most of these families in that part of Hingham. The Hull Street community has been patient as they have watched a new playground being built at Hersey Field, Bradley Woods, and Crest Field. It is time that their neighborhood receives attention and resources from the town. Taking a look at the proposed playground, the surfacing. The reason why there's 2 different colors is the green is poured in place rubber, and then the brown is heat engineered wood fiber. The poured in place rubber is a lot more expensive than the engineered wood fiber. The Massachusetts State Access Board does not view the engineered wood fiber as a safe and accessible pathway. So the reason why the majority is poured in place rubber is that it has to at least connect the play equipment. And then we believe this is a pretty good design because it kind of caters the needs of 2 to 5-year-olds and 5 to 12-year-olds. The 5 to 12-year-old pieces of equipment are the climber and what's called a spinner. This structure right here kind of spins in the ground. And then the 2 to 5-year-old pieces of equipment are the sandbox with the digger in this play structure here, and then the rocker and steering wheel over here. On your second page here packet is the budget, and just a quick breakdown of the budget is so out of this design, approximately 40,000 of it is the playground equipment. Edging is 3,100. The surfacing is 28,000, and the installation and excavation comes to 23,000. That's a total of 95,000, and our ask is for 85,000. We believe we can get this playground for $85,000. For example, the edging is not critical to the playground. We could save $4,100 if we had to cut out the edging. And if we had based off of experience, we're able to get a better price from local contractors to do the excavation rather than relying on the vendor from the playground company. And based off of past playgrounds, approximately a $2,500 savings there. So we're closer to really an $88,000 playground. And the Rec Commission is fully invested in this project, and if it takes a little bit more than the $85,000 to get it done, we're fully invested to finish off the project if need be.
And this is your top priority for this year, correct?
Correct,
You
yes.
give us a nice 5-year plan, and
Yes, yeah.
this is this year's plan.
Yes.
Anyone?
Yeah, I'm shocked, I'm kidding. To see the absence of seesaws and swings, is it a hazard issue? I know
So
they can
this
be.
playground is going to be built on the upper portion of the Hull Street field. That upper portion is fairly limited in size. The reason why it has to be on the upper portion is we're not exactly sure of the drainage issues on the bottom portion. We love swing sets, but swing sets take up a lot of room because of the fall zones. And we were just afraid that it would take up too much room. And so that's kind of like we went with this design.
So it's not a safety issue, it's just a
It's not a safety issue, no.
And a seesaw is a safety issue, or just?
There's a lot of different pieces of play equipment, and
Sure.
so we like seesaws too, but we couldn't pick everything.
No, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And then more broadly, will the backstop stay so that people can do informal softball?
Yeah, there is a backstop
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
so certainly, yeah, people could still, this doesn't interfere with the field that's on the lower portion.
It doesn't have to be altered to play informally, but at least it's there, and the space is there.
Correct, yep, that's going to be unchanged, yep.
Thanks.
I just want to remind the committee that last year, when we got the grant for Crestfield, we were able to get a grant from the state, so $50,000 came back to CPC, and so timing is perfect, and I think the rec department feels that we were so fortunate to be able to attain that grant, that it's a perfect opportunity. This is a little more expensive than the $50,000, but it's a neighborhood. 45 years ago, we moved to Hingham in that neighborhood. I think there was maybe one swing, and I used to walk my son down there. We lived there for 11 years. That's all that was there. But this is a beautiful spot, and anybody on the other side of 3A, this is the only game in town, and there's been nothing there. So as a rec department commissioner, it's critically important that we provide something for that neighborhood.
Would that same grant apply to this one? Can you apply
There
for
aren't,
here?
this year there are no grants of
Nothing.
that kind, but my point in even stating that was the fact that we were able to bring the 50,000 back, so it's kind of nice to put it back into a playground that would benefit others.
Well, I know this part of town would be very grateful to have anything down there for the children to play on. Any questions?
Will there be any parking added to the site?
So part of this project, we're going to have to go through the town permitting process. We're not exactly sure what is required with this playground going in. And if a parking lot has to be put in, the rec commission will take care of the cost of that.
How about bike racks? Some kids are going to ride to get there.
Sure, that's something we could definitely look at.
And you talked about putting a gate on the fence that exists right at the road, so kids can't turn and bolt
Yeah, yeah,
or something to close that off a little bit.
definitely, yep.
Pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, thanks, John.
Next, we have South Shore Country Club Pool Complex.
All right, guys, thank you very much for having me today. I'm Jay McGrail. I'm the Director of Operations at the South Shore Country Club. First I want to thank you guys for coming out for the site visit last month. I think it was pretty informative, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come out and looking at the site with us. And then also, thank you for funding the feasibility study last year. We've made a lot of progress with that feasibility study, and that'll be the first part of my presentation. I just talk about where we're at with that, since that's money that you guys gave us last year to do. So it was pretty clear to me when you guys came for the site visit that everyone is familiar with the pool, and everyone understands that we have issues with our pool, to the point where you guys didn't even want to look at it again this time. It seems like we've made enough news in the newspaper and coming here and in front of the selectmen that everyone understands that our pool has serious issues, and we're looking at the end of its life. We're looking at the end of that pool. We're hoping to be able to get this coming season out of the pool. I have structural engineers that come on a monthly basis that perform structural analysis on the cracks and the crack monitors. And we're hoping to be able to get this year out of the pool next season, but that's not a guarantee, and certainly nothing beyond next season is any sort of guarantee right now. So timing is of the essence, and that's kind of why this application is in front of you this evening, because without your help right now, we don't have a plan moving forward to try to stop us not having swimming in the town of Hingham in our municipal swimming pool. So where we're at with the feasibility study right now. So we got the funding through you guys last year at town meeting. I worked with Roger in his office to issue an RFP. Took a while to get the RFP out. It was a fairly complicated RFP, nothing the town had done before for a feasibility study. We got it out and issued. We had a few responses. We interviewed over the summer. We had a series of companies come in and do interviews with us. We ended up picking a firm called BH&A out of Boston, an architectural and small engineering firm that had a lot of experience with municipal swimming pool design and construction, and also financial feasibility associated with those projects. So we brought them in, went in front of the selectmen in August, got the selectmen's go-ahead to move forward with that contract, and started the feasibility study right away. Over the summer, they were able to come out quite a bit and look at traffic analysis and traffic study, look at the site, look at all the different issues associated with the site. And the first deliverables were sometime around the beginning of September. We had a team. I put together a working group of a bunch of really great Hinghamites that are helping me with working on this. Jerry Seeland's helping me, Warren Pellissier, a bunch of Kerry Ryan, a few members of my board, a really good, strong team of people that were interested in seeing aquatics and swimming continue at South Shore Country Club. So, we met in early September, and BH&A came in with some deliverables. What they had done at that point in time is looked at our site as a whole and came up with some locations for potential swimming pools at the site. The 4 locations are what we discussed at the site visit: the front lawn site, the Bishop's Lane site, the existing site where the pool is right now, the tennis court site, and the practice green site. There's pros and cons to each of those sites, as I discussed at the site visit. The front lawn site is a flat, fairly easable, buildable site, but it's floodplain. There's definite huge dramatic changes to the streetscape with that site, and we had a hard time fitting in an indoor and an outdoor option at that site. Definitely we're looking at both of those as an options as what we want to do at the club: an indoor option for year-round swimming and an outdoor option for family recreation like we've had at the club since the 1980s. We looked at the existing site, and there's definitely synergy there because it's attached to our building, and you'd be able to walk directly from an indoor facility there into the building, into the restaurant, into the locker rooms. But there's a lot of significant issues with that site too. I mean, if anyone's been up to the club in the summertime, you see some of our patrons, the swimmers, like teenage girls, high school girls, like sunbathing in the parking lot. Definitely not the safest situation that we currently have, but it happens a lot. They lay their towels down and they're laying in the parking lot. We try our best to cordon it off and section it, but it's clear that with the impact on golf and people golfing right there, I've had issues in that site where with the existing pool where actually golfers hit golf balls into the pool, and a woman got hit a couple of years ago. So when we're looking at all of those, yeah, there's some bad golfers out there. Not your husband,
No.
It just seems like although there's some positives to that site, the negatives outweigh it. So then we looked at the tennis court site and the practice green site, and we haven't like absolutely dead set in stone picked a location yet. But those were the 2 better of the 4 sites. The problem with the tennis court site is we have a pretty robust tennis program. We started working with the rec on that a few years ago. You guys helped us resurface that area a few years back. It still has a short lifespan up there. but it's a flat site and a buildable site, so we had to look at it. The best site was the site I took you guys to, the practice green site. When you're down in that location and looking at it, you know, it definitely has the feel that it's got potential in that location to be a really unique opportunity. You know, we build, so what we're looking at is, let me get the next slide to go if I can get this clicker to work.
It's good to know all this anyway.
So I don't know if I can get the clicker, oh, there we go. No luck. Do it manually. So this is one of the deliverables that BH&A gave us. So what we're looking at is a bathhouse, basically, that would be a 2-story bathhouse in that location there, built into the hill. Upstairs would be a couple of multi-purpose rooms that we're still trying to figure out exactly what we want to do with that space, some sort of recreational multi-purpose space up there. Downstairs would be the locker rooms where you'd walk out to where the indoor pool is. And then on the other side of the indoor pool would be the outdoor seasonal family pool with water features attached to that, 0-degree entry, so that it would almost be like a beach on the side. You know, things that families are looking for and people are looking for in outdoor recreational pools. So this was our original idea. So what we did is we kind of took this and started working with a financial feasibility consultant. Like they put together a business plan, basically, of the revenue and expenses and costs associated with the site, and looked at different programs. And I worked with Mark in the rec and talked about what worked well this summer, what were our price points that worked, and what could we do. And then looked at a lot of competition in the area. We went to every facility in the area and looked at what other people are doing, and put together a business plan. So we're in the process of working through that right now. You know, we've got some deliverables from them on that, but we're asking for some more information. When we received our first deliverables, it was clear that we needed to think a little bit outside the box to make it work. So one thing that's come up that we're looking into is the opportunity to maybe have some sort of therapy pool as a part of the indoor structure, and the learn to swim pool idea. If we can incorporate that into the lap pool, or less of a lap pool and more of that. You know, we see the success of Goldfish Swim Academy in all over, specifically in Rockland or Hanover, and also there's opportunities with South Shore Orthopedics. They're looking to have a therapy pool in the area, so we're talking with them about was there potential of that in the facility, and really what does that do to the dynamics of the revenue. You know, and what we're trying to find, what we're honing in on right now, is what's the most profitable situation that we can create in this sort of structure, indoor, outdoor, and really trying to think outside the box of not only what's the most profitable, but what are people in the community going to be excited about, and what do they want out of a facility like this. You know, not everybody uses an indoor 6-lane lap pool. You know, so we're really trying to look at it more of what would get the most interest in most people in the building and serve the most residents of Hingham. So we're trying to fine-tune that. I should have a real definite plan and answers on that very soon, in the next you know, month or so. Definitely by the time, I'm hoping to have that by the time you guys vote in January, so I can tell you this is exactly what we're looking for, and this is what our projected revenues are. I'll probably go in front of the selectmen around the same time to present that to them. But that's the area that we're looking for, and that's where we're at with the facility. I put in your packets a PowerPoint presentation that I put together that's very simple on, you know, a lot of people have asked, like, why the country club? Why does it make sense to do the pool at the country club? We have other areas in Hingham, and we feel that there's so much that, you know, the town at one point in time made a decision to buy a swimming pool, basically when they bought the country club, and it's worked there for a long time, you know. So what we've tried to do is put together some facts on what it does to our club, the value it adds to our property, and how we'd be hurt without it, you know. Because like I said, the thing that's driving all of this is we're going to lose that pool, you know, and that's where we're at. So that comes to this application this year. I worked with Roger to try to figure out what the next steps would be and how we could move this project forward. You know, obviously there was the option of do design and build, you know, at some point down the line. We felt like, given the fact that our pool is failing now, and our goal is to not lose time with no, you know, not have a year with no swimming, no municipal swimming in Hingham, that the best steps to do to keep the process rolling and be able to buy us basically a year would be able to do the design and construction work now, design and construction document work now. And so we put together a budget to do that, and that's what you see here. One of the changes from last year when I came in front of you is we started a Friends of the South Shore Country Club. I've been very fortunate enough that a number of residents in Hingham, Warren Pellissier, Tom Hoffman, Christine Smith, who's here tonight, Tom, who's here tonight, Kevin Burke, Dr. Owen McConville from South Shore Orthopedic, Cheryl Ahern, a group of really invested citizens took time out of their lives to start the Friends of the South Shore Country Club, a 501c3 that's formed to help us see this vision happen, and fundraise our part. So there's no question in our mind that fundraising is going to be a huge part of this project. But what we realized is that the rubber is going to meet the road really quick with that. We put together this application and are asking you for half of what we need right now. When we talked at the walkthrough, the $300,000 is half of what we need for design, construction, and project management. The club is going to be, in the town is going to be on the hook for that whole $600,000. So that's why we asked you for $300,000. The $471,000 is the first stage of that. And what we're committed to do, and what the 501c3, the Friends Group, is committed to do, is fundraise the rest of that money right off the bat. Like, that's their first thing they need to do, is fundraise the money to be able to fund these work. Because if you guys look at this project favorably and fund the $300,000, these guys got to come up with the other half right away. The difference to the 471, especially right away, so we can get rolling on this and start this process. But they're committed to do that. So that's when I say that I put together like the working group and the Friends, these are all Hinghamites that just want to see this project happen. That see that we might lose swimming in Hingham, and see this as an opportunity to move forward. So, that's kind of where we're at. I definitely appreciate the support that I've had from the CPC on this project. When I look at this as an overall project, you guys are partners with us on this, and that's been really, we wouldn't be able to do it without you, and we haven't been able to do it without you, and the community would be at a loss without our relationship right now. We'd be losing that pool. So I appreciate everything. I'll open it up to questions, but that's where we're at right now.
Well, we ask everyone the same question to begin with.
Yep.
Since we have requests for more than double what we have to give this year, if you aren't funded from us, what does that do to your plans?
So if we're not funded whatsoever, what it would do is set us back. We'd have to start fundraising for I think we'd still try to move forward with pulling the construction documents out and funding that first, just to not lose time. I mean, if we have to take this whole project as a design and build to town meeting, then we're not able to start any of this work until potentially a year from now. So we would try to fund, if we had no funding from you guys, I think we would try to fundraise, but that's the hard part is that it's hard for these guys to get people behind the fundraising and start writing serious checks when there's not a commitment from the town and a real project yet, So I think a commitment from you guys to start this work helps them get checks. It's almost, there's synergy right there, and that's kind of the way it rolls. If you guys aren't able to fund the whole $300,000, it's just more work these guys have to do right away. But we're looking for, that when I met with the 501c3, it's clear that what people that want to give money, what they want to see is a project that's, heading in the right direction. And a commitment from the town and from you guys to keep this project going. That will be 2 town meetings, that we're successful at, rolling ahead with this project. That shows pretty strong commitment for the stakeholders that want to write real money checks over to us. So
I need some clarification. So you're saying that over the building of the pool, you're going to need 600, or as you said at the site visit, 612.
yeah.
But the current need before the building of the pool gets started is 471.
Correct.
So, and that's the application. So the other 140 that's going to be needed while the pool's being built, that's kind of a separate issue.
It is.
So one way, and tell me if I'm not being fair, one way that I think it would be fair to look at it is you're really asking for about 2/3 or close to 2/3 of 471. That's the current box.
Yes, yeah, we could look at it, and I'd be fair to say that I anticipate, if this project continues to roll, I may be back in front of you with something different next year, so that's a fair way to look at it. We're just trying to get a commitment from the town so that we have real skin in the game, so these guys can start raising some real money.
Okay, so, and we're just for instancing, so no money would be bad because it would show that the town wasn't interested, but some money would show momentum to people who would be inclined to donate from their own coffers.
And it takes us to town meeting again for
Yeah.
continued support on the project.
Okay.
I would say also, we've had assurances that they can raise the balance. If we got the 300, that they're fairly confident. We don't know that they can raise more than the balance.
Yep.
At the other end, I think it's a great project, and I'm glad to see a year-round pool. But will the family pool, I guess you said it's graduated, very shallow at one end?
Yep.
And then is there provision for a diving board? Can that be?
Yeah, so I don't know, like a diving board, we would look at diving in the indoor pool. The outdoor pool, the diving for the indoor pool would be springboard diving, like for high school swimming. For the outdoor pool, we haven't really explored exactly what it would look like. You know, there's definitely an opportunity there, but I don't know exactly. All we know is that we want recreation, like family. Like you're asking about, like what was going to happen with Mark's Playground. Like we're thinking the same thing. Like we want people to come and have fun here. You know, so.
But for I think you're in the right track. It's serious diving probably is more appropriate
Indoor.
to the indoor
Yeah,
pool.
yeah. High school, the Hingham and Notre Dame both have a diving
I
program.
remember the old floats at the beach had a diving board, but it seemed sort of improvised a long time ago.
Yeah, and this is high school springboard diving
Yeah,
that
it's
I'm
one
talking
really-
about. Yeah,
Thanks.
not like the triple Indy, you know, jumping from the platforms.
Thanks.
Will the indoor pool be for high school, or is that decided on? or you just thinking
I
of
can't
it?
say anything's totally decided, but we would definitely be at a loss if we built an indoor pool and we didn't have Hingham High School swimming there. I mean, we've talked with them. Notre Dame and Hingham both swim in separate seasons. You know, Notre Dame's in the fall, Hingham's in the winter. So we're hoping to be able to, you know, get as many swim teams in as possible. But there's a real challenge in the schedule of a pool. You know, like if you have members, you have lap swimmers, you have swim team, it's hard to accommodate all of them together. So that's one of the reasons why we're looking to maybe pull out the Learn to Swim program and put that in some sort of warm water, shallow situation, because it also alleviates pressure on the swim schedule. Other questions?
It's a wonderful project, and
It's exciting stuff. It's taken over my life, that's for sure. I went to college for golf course management. Now I'm
glad
a
to
swim
see you off in
professional.
Gretchen, too.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Bill wanted to say
Bill
a few
wanted-
words.
send-
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bill Friend. I live at 704 Main, and I'm chairman of the Country Club Management Committee. And I wanted to reaffirm a lot of what Jay, I'm not going to go through it all again, but the main point is that a couple years ago, as a committee, we were receiving a lot of pressure to come up with a full-year pool, year-round pool. And we thought about it and thought the easiest way to do was put a bubble on the existing pool. And we had the engineers in, and they looked at it and said the structure won't support a bubble. And they said not only that, the structure is going to go away. It's the structure, not the pool itself. It's the structure that the pool sits in that our problem is. And so we had the engineers look more closely, and they're saying we have maybe one more year. We're not even sure that we have one more year with that pool. So as a committee, we assessed and talked to people around town, and I can't go downtown, go to the bank or go to the Hennessy's or go to the post office without somebody saying they want a pool. They want a year-round pool. It's clear to me that the town wants the pool. Whether affording is enough, money's still an issue. That's why we started Phase 1, and we thank you for financing, helping us with Phase 1, and we still have work to do on that. Phase 2 is the next critical step, and we think the decision really is, does the town want a pool or does the town not want a pool? Because it's basically that. We're either going to walk away from the pool in a year. We feel the pool is important at the country club. That's why we have that handout that shows all the reasons, all the synergies, the things that the pool does for the country club. We also believe it does a lot for the town. We get real estate people coming to us at the country club, young families that are moving to town. They want a pool for their kids. They want golf for their kids. So the complex is an asset for the town, and we'd hate to take away a part of the town asset. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, we have a Harbor Walkway extension. This is Harbor Development Committee.
This is Bill Green, who I expected to be here, so we're doing this jointly with Harbor Development, so.
Yeah, might as well, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is Alan Peralt from Bathing Beach Trustees.
Yes, I'm Alan Peralt, 39 Elm Street, the chairman of the Bathing Beach Trustees. And it's kind of refreshing even sitting in the audience listening to the projects that come before this group, because I think you realize why you're proud to live in this town because of planning and things that get done over time. I mean, not every community does this type of thing. Our project stems out of a study that was funded by the CPC 10 years ago, you know, the Harbor Master Plan. So hearing planning studies that get done that morph into actual projects with people committed to sticking them out is kind of one of the reassuring things about being in this town, I think. That's my little political aside. Having said that, this project is a continuation of something that this committee has been helpful in getting us this far. As many of you are aware, 2 years ago now, I guess we're going on 2 years, Roger, we actually did the parking lot work and the initial boardwalk along the beach. And we still have some money in reserve to do the parking area, which, you know, we'll plan to do after the bathhouse is up. And last year, this committee was good enough to fund us to continue the walkway through the Grove area, which we're working with Roger and Tom in the engineering department. We already started work to lay that out, and we're hoping to get that work done this fall, actually. So, weather permitting, we're actually hoping to get that done. People may think it's late in the year, but we did the revetment at a similar time 2 years ago, you know, and assuming you don't have some horrific month of December, this should be doable to have about another 450 feet heading towards the Crow Point neighborhood. So this concept is to take it across what I call the gazebo parcel. And as some of you may be aware, I think we talked about it in the field visit, the interesting thing of doing the bathhouse study is we had to do a survey. As you remember, we had 3 options of where we were going to put it. In the process of doing the survey, lo and behold, it turns out that the gazebo parcel is actually under the jurisdiction of the Bathing Beach Trustees, whereas we always thought it was under the jurisdiction of the Board of Selectmen. Not that I think it differs as how anyone uses the property, it's just that the concept kind of threw us for a little bit of a loop too. Which is the reason we decided to do this with Harbor Development, because Harbor Development has always been the continual. Harbor Development is the one that got the grant to do the harbor study. We work hand in hand on a lot of projects anyway. There's usually not a meeting, Bill doesn't come to ours, or I don't go to Harbor Development. So we just thought it was a logical thing, and it's a continuation of the Harbor Walk, whether it's on trustees' property, the selectmen's property, whatever. So the concept essentially is to take it across what, again, I call the gazebo parcel, which would then get us to what is the boat ramp parking lot. And the boat ramp parking lot, I would be optimistic that that is being engineered right now by the state. So when the state would do that over, we would try to integrate a walkway into that, which in that case gets us very close to Iron Horse, you know, and definitely out of the jurisdiction of the Bathing Beach Trustees. But I think we would then be awfully close to Whitney Wharf Bridge. So obviously this is a thing where we're starting not quite at the end, at the one end when we did the beach, but once we get out to the Grove, have the beach, and do this section, we're getting very close to the original concept of having a link along the whole waterway. And it's been very well received. As you know, when we were there for the field visit, there's people walking at even any given day. Mary Dunham at the planning office got a, you know, just a cold call, somebody calling in saying what a great feature it was. Somebody from out of town who actually came down and walked along the walkway and say what a great thing you're doing down here. And we think it'll be greater when the whole thing is there. And we're talking with Rec and Vicky about down the road maybe doing a play area down there. By the way, this thing is designed, yes, Bill. This thing is going to lay out in a way that is not going to preclude a play area being down there. And the other thing it includes, by the way, is in permitting the bathhouse, we had to extend, remember at town meeting, some people had a concern of kids running across the parking lot. So when we got the permit from, I believe, both planning and zoning, it incorporated a walkway from the existing walkway to the bathhouse. Now that's not going to be as wide as this walkway. It's going to be 5 feet. The walkway along the water is 8, which kind of allows for bicycles as well as pedestrians. But by doing the whole thing in the same materials, we feel will just give a synergy and give a really good feel. It's consistent with historic and what they want. And Larry, similar to last year, I know we didn't succeed in going with DCR, but we will apply again if we get money to DCR. And as Roger can speak to, the town has generally been fairly successful, especially second time around. The Seaport Bond Council for the bathhouse we got not round 1, we get the second round. And Carol's already started to develop a relationship with the woman there. So, and they funded about 55–60% of their projects last year, if you look at it. So I would think our chances may get better as time. I can't guarantee it, but we're sure as heck going to try to do that. So, well, Bill may have a few other things. I've basically given him the overview of how we got to this point. Yes, or a tag team.
So, Bill Reardon for Chairman of the Harbor Development Committee. Apologies, you must have done a speed job through the particularly the pool. I expected that would be a 45-minute presentation, and I could make it here. So I just would want to add. I know where Alan has been. You've seen the diagram of where this is going to go. We had our site visit. I think we all know what this is. I just want to kind of emphasize that from my perspective, for the harbor as a whole, this is sort of phase 3 of the harbor walkway as it relates to the bathhouse bathing beach section. We've done one. We've funded the second, which is going to proceed in conjunction with the bathhouse. And now with the bathhouse itself, we would finish, this entire thing. I happened to speak with Carol earlier in the week, and I know your numbers and that you've got some decisions to make. There's always that, having been in your chairs. I remember it well, having sat on this committee and chaired it. But I do feel as if this is sort of a special opportunity simultaneously to take advantage of the work being done on the bathhouse snack shack and the paths that are going to need to be laid out anyway for that, to kind of finish this whole thing. And there's a satisfaction, I think, in terms of, hey, we've addressed the first third, maybe, of our ultimate view of a harbor walkway. Just a reminder that the other, 2 kind of next pieces would be something along the front of the parking lot for the boat ramp. Whether we can work something with that with the state, who have given us a design that we are exploring for our new boat ramp. That will be making its way through our own town permitting process, and then sure, we're going to be waiting for funding on that. And then if you remember, the next phase is the harbor wharves. The first will be town pier, and I would hope that as part of our planning and design for town pier, we would be incorporating the continuation of the harbor walk on town pier. So I would hope we wouldn't be coming back to CPC for that. So never say never. I know that Vicki Donlin and the Recreation Commission have some thoughts in the future regarding a play area down on the bathing beach, but at least as far as kind of the infrastructure, we would have, if we go forward with this project, we would have kind of completed the trifecta. So just a further thought. Happy to respond to any questions. I put the numbers together just recently, did revise. There was, the thought in my mind, do we should I cut it to the bone and make it 150? I want to make sure it works. Mm-hmm. We may have some savings from the fact that some of the spade work, if you will, literally spade work for the bathhouse snack shack, would have involved grading, digging out the grass, gravel, and granite dust on those pathways. So we may be able to fine-tune this a little, but not a lot. And I want to make sure we have enough. I wanted to make sure that we would have enough to get it done. So,
well, as we've been telling everybody, since we have so much more to fund than we have funding this year.
Sure. What
are the chances of giving us a solid number that you'd like us to consider? Obviously, you're not a project that we can give partial, you're not going to build half of the ramp. So are you safer at 160?
We're saying, I didn't
That
think
is
it
the
was
number.
prudent to go forward without kind of any contingency, or we don't expect, from a design perspective, there'll be a lot more. We're really relying on Roger and Tom Molinari. From a permitting perspective, we think it's just conservation. Tom did speak with Lonnie this week, and she advises that, you know, they will look at this in much the same way that you just had a hearing with the full Conservation Commission regarding the others. So shouldn't be a lot. I mean, could you carve, you know, 10 out and make it 150? I could probably live with that. I was trying to be careful in targeting the 160. So it's that. Much more than that, I don't think we can, you know, get it done, because the primary cost is the brickwork.
And unfortunately, we don't have the kind of constituency like a pool does.
No.
You know, it isn't the type of thing that people are going to rally around, you know, unless we did it brick by brick, that you can actually get this kind of thing done, you know, so, you know, we've kind of, you know, counted on the kindness of strangers, you know.
You're going to sell named bricks.
That's right, I know.
Other questions?
Yes, got all the questions, no.
Hey, Bill.
Jim.
A bathhouse question. If you're not getting more, walkway questions, I just had a bathhouse question. Given the sort of L-shaped design, is it designed to allow a possible expansion of the changing area, if and when needed?
I'll let the bathhouse expert speak to that.
So just so I understand the question, what is it?
Noting the sort of L-shaped design of the building, you know, as shown here.
Yeah, I mean, the bathrooms are still kind of designed the way they are, Jim. I mean, they are large enough for changing inside. You know, we don't have indoor showers. We are going to do outdoor showers, and we've designed that. And we're going to try to get that closer to the beach, actually, very much like what they have down the Cape. A lot of the rinse-off spots at Nauset and all these other beaches are very close. You come out of the water and you rinse off. So the idea is a foot rinse and a higher rinse, and we've kind of gone through that with Roger and Tom, that we'll have a line we can blow out. The idea is get it close enough to the beach. Within the bathrooms, they're both sized, so you can actually change within the bathrooms.
Okay, I've tried to explain that to people as an outsider, that you would shower outside, go in, use one of the toilet stalls and change in there with sort of tight space. But you mean there'd be more space?
Well, they're handicapped bathrooms. The handicapped bathrooms are not
So they're-
small.
they're
Yeah, I
bigger.
mean, just to do a single men's or women's room now, an area is significantly larger than bathrooms used to be.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and again, I cite what it's like down the Cape. If you go to I don't know of too many bathroom facilities indoors, and if they built recently, they got to do handicapped bathrooms too. So it's kind of the norm now to do it that way.
Okay, so there will be space to change in.
Yeah, definitely.
And will there be some lockers?
We really don't have room for lockers, unfortunately. It's the type of thing that, you know, the idea isn't that people are keeping things there. They're bringing their change of clothes, they get changed, they just have to bring it with them.
I find that, yeah, because I'll go to the beach on my bike, not driving, and, you know, go in the present bathhouse, change, go and ask the lifeguard, would you mind watching my stuff? And I put all my clothes and valuables, you know, within his sight and go for a swim. But, you know, they can't spend all their time watching people's stuff. I mean that's if you don't have a car to put your clothes in and leave your stuff in.
Yeah,
That's why I thought that a handful of...
No, I understand that, but I think it just gets to be a difficult thing. You know, it's either you do it or you don't do it, and obviously to make our budget work, the building is the size it is.
You gotta,
something had to give. We're trying to keep the community room. In fact, we've tried to be clever with how we do the community room, because it needs to be a certain size. You know, and we really tried to get everything into the restroom that could be, and even like a closets into the corridor near the restroom. So believe it or not, every 20 square feet is at a premium when you're building a building like this.
as long as people find that it's accessible and not awkward to use the bathrooms to change.
Yeah, they'll certainly be able to walk it off and do that securely, and I think that's realistically all we can do.
And then just keep an eye on their clothes.
And I think your idea of a bike rack is well taken on the idea of even doing that with the playground. I mean, it probably is, we're trying to do walkways that are wide enough to have bikes. We could stand to have one or two more bike racks down there.
Because I agree that the way you have the pathway arranged is really good, because if you're right along the sidewalk on 3A, which is safer, you have a nice easy right turn into the sidewalk.
Yeah, well, that was the idea of the planning board. It made sense. We have, obviously you can pick it up by the Grove now, so you'll be able to come in from the Grove much closer to the Crow Point neighborhood. And then this is actually closer to Ship Street, this other walkway. So we're trying to make the whole area more accessible in multiple places.
Great.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I think the one remaining question is your timing. So we're not exactly shoveling at the bathhouse yet, and you haven't started the Grove. So we're like 2 projects in waiting, and now we're applying for funding for the other section. Are we going to get backed up?
No.
Do you have to wait for the bathhouse to be finished before you can do this new section?
No, the site work is going to be done separately from the building. I mean, the building, if you realize, is kind of pulled back from where these walkways are anyway, Carol.
Okay.
So, I mean, the Grove one will be done this fall. So I'd hope by January 1st, the Grove walkway is done. So
Okay, good.
that's done, paid for, and done. We still have parked money in our original parking lot one. We still have the money for doing the parking lot over.
Right.
We're also working, by the way, with the farmer's market on a separate matter of, we may locate them closer to the old bathhouse, so that we're not having a conflict with the new one. They kind of like the idea, that they may even set up in the Grove. You know, it's kind of more of a pastoral setting for farmer's market. And Mark made a point to us we hadn't thought of, is that it's actually hot. In the summertime, setting up on the asphalt, it's actually hot, and setting up in the Grove would be a lot cooler, and plus it drains better. So we understand we got a lot of moving parts there, but timing-wise, Roger is breaking out the site work totally separately from the building work. So we can actually be doing 95% of the site work prior to the building being finished. By the time you're doing the finishes on the building, we're not worried about big trucks coming in.
I'm wondering about big trucks around the bathhouse.
Yeah, but the
keeping
big
it
trucks
from-
are when you're pouring concrete and doing heavy type of site. I mean, when you just look at some of the buildings around town, by the time you get them tight to the weather, the truck that's pulling up is a pickup truck,
Yeah.
you know, which can clearly park in the parking lot. So I think logistically, you know, Bill and I have been in the impression, let's do these things within reason as quickly as we can. So we actually have a continual boardwalk. We just thought if we waited another year, if the bathhouse is open and we've got a walkway that goes to here but doesn't go further, it's, you know, kind of a pathway to nowhere. I heard the
You know
bridge
where
to
I'm
nowhere
coming
many
from.
a time.
I
but
just
mean-
don't want to hear that we're not shovel-ready on this particular section because we have to wait for the bathhouse trucks to get out of there, and then we can do it, and now we're backed up 3 projects. Is that?
I don't see it. I'm trying to remember from a finance perspective whether it's at town meeting or it's July 1 that the funds become available.
After the contract's July 1? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means we couldn't, you know, we wouldn't have the funds to begin. So it may not be, you know, right in the middle of it. Think about July 4th. I'm not going to be down there with a grader, you know, digging up the grass of around the
fireworks going
bandstand.
off in the
It may realistically be the fall, but the point is it's all kind of within the season.
But you know why we have to push now? Because we have shovel-ready projects looking at us like, we need this now.
Gotcha.
But I think by the time you get to July 1st, this is pretty close to being a shot. And the other thing about this, since Roger's already designed it, we've already, you know, we essentially have the design, we have the material. So the fact is, this is one of the easier projects you'll get as far as getting to the point it is shovel-ready. As soon as we're at that point, I agree with Bill. The reason we wouldn't do it next summer is we wouldn't want to disrupt the waterfront area in the summer. But as soon as you get past Labor Day, you know, we're talking this time next fall, that whole walkway would be done from the Grove all the way across the gazebo parcel.
Very exciting.
So, and we're opening general bids actually in less than 2 weeks, actually, in the bathhouse.
What would you say is
Sub-bids are
the
opening
timing,
yesterday.
so the bathhouse construction would be sooner?
Yeah, we're opening the general bids a week from Monday.
So it could exist by the end of next summer, or by next summer?
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, if, depending on the contractor, and it's not the most complex building to build, if he actually gets the piles in and we get this, you know, the perimeter foundation done, it's a job that would be a good winter project if somebody worked through the winter and the spring.
And the other is there in the meantime?
What's that?
And the other is still there in the meantime?
Correct, yeah. So, we think it'll work.
Okay.
We thank you for your time, too.
Thank you very much. Nice
Thank you very much.
presentation.
And for those listening from home.
And watching.
Yeah. Now we have the Hingham Affordable Housing Trust. Who's going to be speaking? Hi. How are you?
All right, I'm Britton DeBose, Hingham Affordable Housing Trust, and with Tim White, our chairman, and here to present just a quick overview of some updates from last time that we came in. I guess it was last month. So if everyone's familiar with our objective, it's to create, maintain, preserve affordable housing in Hingham. We've done that in a variety of ways over the year that I've been on the trust, and in the past few years. We've been in existence for 8 years, 10 years? 10 years. So since we came in and gave a sort of conceptual overview of what we've done, we've discussed creating a housing production plan. We may or may not call it that, but starting to look at really pulling together a plan, looking at our overall inventory and putting together a long-term plan to understand where our needs are, the demographics we want to serve, et cetera. Rust House, which you may be familiar with, is a small house in Hingham Center. We entered an agreement with and really supported Father Bills to continue to have that house house 5 homeless women that definitely more than qualify for affordable housing. So we've supported that with our funds. Just last night, we met on about an additional property that's already in our affordable housing inventory, but we're working to maintain it there. Few transfers and agreements need to be made, but we're down the road on that and well positioned to make that happen.
Can you say which property that is?
Not sure that we're ready
Not
to
yet.
do that, yes.
Not yet, Jim.
Yeah. And then Whiting Street, another one that you all may know about. We have a property there that we went through the RFP process and have approved working with Habitat for Humanity just in the past 2-3 months, where they're going to build 3 3-bedroom units on Whiting Street. Already brought in the neighbors, talked about how we were going to move forward to make sure their feedback's included in the process. So a lot of exciting things going on. I feel like there's good momentum, again, just in the time I've been in the trust. But we're coming to you to ask for $500,000. That is a bigger ask than we've had historically. But we feel like, given the momentum I've just described, the idea of putting together some sort of long-term strategy that would cost money, let alone having funds to seize any opportunities that come up. The nature of this work is you have to be very opportunistic when something comes on the market or a situation is presented to us. So that money is not designated to any one specific project, but to the developments that we have, and then also any opportunities that are presented to us. So I don't know if you'd add anything, Tim.
Just if you want to give them a quick update on where we are, what we have in the opportunity funding and what's committed.
So the opportunity funding that we have from the CPC is $372,000. Of that, we have most of that earmarked, 305,000 of that earmarked for the additional property that we're unable to, unfortunately, to tell you which one that is, both buying that as well as renovating it to then put back into the inventory and have a family actually live in that home. And then also there's a potential ask of Habitat for Humanity for funds to support their development of the Whiting Street project. So
They've given you a number on that?
they've given us 75. 75.
Nothing.
It
was zero.
And that was
Right.
in a document. They haven't talked to us officially about that, but we all definitely caught that in the notes of the
And it'll be a
document.
fluid
So,
situation. I mean, we're
yeah.
just finalizing the purchase and sales agreement with them.
Right.
And their plan will be to start before the town, go first before the Board of Selectmen, and move right forward.
Yeah.
Is that typical how, I thought Habitat kind of covered everything when they do a house. We're giving them the land.
They're giving them the land. They are covering, obviously, most of it. There's infrastructure going in. It's going to be a private way, so there's going to be considerable additional expenses on this particular project.
They have to
And
demolish the
That's the
house
only way
that's
we can
there.
get 3 houses up there.
Yeah.
So 75,000 for 3 houses, potentially 75,000 for 3 houses, we felt like.
My math's not great, but you're out of money.
That's right. Yeah, so that's 305. So it's for the additional property, let's say it's 230, 75 for the Whiting Street, that's 305, and we have 372. So,
Yeah.
as we
Last
all
time we
know.
talked to you, I think there was 600 in the till, but we didn't know how much of that was already designated for some of the projects.
Yep.
Yeah. And,
Boy.
yeah, so, and of the 600, some of that's revenue from what's the name of the property that, the revenue from Canterbury sale.
Some of
The
those-
total balance.
That's how we got to
The actual total
600.
balance is
Yeah,
800,000.
right, yeah.
But some of that is Lincoln School funding, some of it is the Canterbury. But the balance of what we have in CPC funds is the
I've
370.
always been confused about that. The 58,000 that we granted for the elevator at the Lincoln School is funneled through you all?
It is, it is, and we just got a signed contract,
Yeah,
or?
yeah, just signed.
They're ready to go?
Aileen Callahan, who's our designee for the Lincoln School Apartments, told us that is just about ready to move forward, which is great.
Well, yeah.
Yes?
So we're in the bid process now.
Yeah.
We get them today, so I think the bids might be due in a week and a half or
Yeah.
so.
Oh, good.
Because
Because they're on an extension with us, aren't they, at this point? They went past the
Oh,
2 years,
yes.
we granted them another till December or January or something.
Yeah, it was a little bit complicated in the sense that it requires a relocation of the residents.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
costs associated with that. The contract itself had to have certain liquidated damages because the costs occurred if the contractor runs over certain, bore you with the details. So it became somewhat cumbersome in terms of drafting the specifications, the contract documents. But they're out, and we had a walkthrough today, and we hope that we do get some responses to the bid. Yeah.
Always more complicated than it looks like.
It always seems to be.
That's what it was. She said the bids were
The RFP,
imminently due.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So there's an RFP out with it, or are you negotiating with the person to do it?
No, it's currently out, so I think we're...
Or waiting
it's
for responses?
A week and a half, I think they do, yeah.
Tim, you mentioned the Canterbury money in passing. Would you mind, I know what it is, but would you mind saying what it was for people?
Sure. It was a development that came into town under an old bylaw that allowed them, instead of designating 25% of their development to affordable housing, to make a payment. And the payment at that time was actually made, I think, to the town or to the housing partnership, and it has passed on to the trust.
275 plus
29
per
a
unit.
house or something?
The nice thing about
Exclusionary
those
zoning.
funds is they're unrestricted, so, they're only restricted in respect to what our purpose is, and to create, maintain affordable, where CPC, as we all know, has certain restrictions.
So is some, I think you just answered this, but I didn't get it. Is some available for the trust use, or can the selectmen make it available?
No, it's available, absolutely it's available.
That's its purpose.
Yep.
It was under the exclusionary zoning, and it was the cash, new building, or whatever.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right. And
So
its
something
purpose
wonderful.
is for affordable housing.
Where do you see it going?
You get a phone call and something wonderful's on the market, ready to go, you don't have funds, basically.
Right now.
You have to
right.
dip into something that's designated for another project.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't get to vote on anything till April, so.
Well, I mean, what we can do is, and we've talked about this before, is when we purchase a property, we can put a down payment down, and we can actually take a loan out with a bank if necessary. It's not something that we want to do, but we did it with the 80BL, we can do it, and we've been successful doing it, so. Yeah, like, it's complicated. It's complicated. But we have a lot of great things going on, and we're very excited about it, so. We can't do it without your help.
Yeah, that's great.
Great to see you.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay. Last thing.
Good, it should, but it's a lot of money.
Last thing on our agenda is just us, CPC Administrative Fund. It is what it always is. It covers salary for the people who make us look good, and coalition membership, we pay to belong to the Boston Group, a couple $1,000. Supplies for the office, legal fees, which we never know what they're going to be. This is, of course, for next year. We can't predict what we're going to need, but Carol and Roger have worked out kind of an average, so you base it on that. And some unforeseen expenses. This year, we're asking for 50, which is well below the amount we're allowed to take out of the fund, so not a lot to talk about there, unless anyone has questions about it? No?
Do you know what it was last year?
Again, it comes very close every year to,
Oh, what we gave,
We've-
we voted on 50 last year. We actually went over budget.
We went
because
over,
we
yeah.
had to pick up, help out with some conservation restriction.
the nice thing is it's an ongoing, almost like the Opportunity Fund. Whatever we don't spend goes back in it, and then we don't need as much the next year. But what we don't ever want to do is run out and not be able to pay our legal bills for what we do. Okay, well, I
Can
want
I
to...
just back up to
Yeah.
the previous ask? I didn't realize they were going to leave so quickly, and it's not a question, so it's okay that they're not here, but I just want to state the painfully obvious. After the Heritage Museum debt service and the linear property debt service, we have $700,000 left.
756.
756, okay. And we have 9 entities asking for money, and they're asking us 500,000. And I just think that needs to get stated for everybody at home
I think
and
that
for
was a
us.
reflection on what they're hearing from the selectmen. Keep going, we need more housing. So they went for it. I didn't realize until tonight that they are really committed, the money they have sitting in there is really committed to projects.
How much will they get from us this year, because we have to give X amount?
Well, the 10%.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that'll,
10%.
a little over 100,000.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we have to, and then
Yeah.
beyond that.
so that's
you know.
something,
Yeah, this is not going to be an easy year to make decisions. They're all wonderful projects.
yeah.
and they're all-
Oh, they do great
yeah.
work.
And at our next meeting, we will go through all of the budget and get a better sense of where we are, but it's big 2 to 1. Yeah. I will entertain a motion to.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And again, thanks to AdCom. I forgot you guys last week. Thanks for joining us. And thanks again to Harbor Media. Good work.
Can you from you as far as the ship?
What's that?
Can I get away from you just down
Sure,
there?
sure.
Gotta get supposed to go.
Glad you got it. Okay, that was a quick one.
It's probably in that, it should be.
That's record breaking.
I think so. Didn't Bob have one?